Judge, did you hear that? Judge,
I
seriously.
did. I mean, I
Well,
did.
come on. Then I'm appealing to you. Appealing to you. Please file your own adult protective service with your own eyes. What you see right there.
I think we had a late arriving competency evaluation.
Yes, I believe that came in just this morning, Your Honor. Ms. Rowe is counsel of record.
So I think it came in over the noon hour. Give me just a second. So, and I see Ms. Lane Vasquez. I'm going to wait for you to come back. So Ms. Lane Vasquez and I think it's Mr. Is it Ahola?
Yes.
That's you, and that's your name?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So the report from Western State Hospital finds that Ms. Lane is not competent to proceed in the failure to understand the nature of the proceedings as well as the ability to assist. And so I guess I'll get some, I'm going to hear from Mr. Fortunato from the state, then I'll hear from Ms. Rowe as to where we go from here. And so to let Mr. Ahola as well as Ms. Lane Vasquez know that this case may be dismissed and then she would be released, but she would be reviewed by a DCR, designated crisis responder, before release. That's what's recommended in the report. The report does not recommend restoration. They feel that given her neurological failings that would not be effective with someone in her condition, she would not be able to be restored. So I'm going to hear from Mr. Fortunato first, and then I'll hear from Ms. Rowe. Mr. Fortunato, I know that evaluation just came in like over the noon hour. When I left for lunch, it wasn't there yet.
Your Honor, I did have the chance to review it, understanding where we're at, understanding Ms. Lane's history, and understanding the current requirements of Western State. I do think it's appropriate at this time to not request a competency restoration. I will be moving to dismiss this charge without prejudice. And I am, of course, asking, like the evaluator recommends, for a designated crisis responder to review Ms. Lane before she's released from custody.
Okay. So Ms. Lane and Mr. Ahola and Ms. Lane Vasquez, I need everybody to listen to me. Is there a no contact order that needs to be rescinded in this
I was
case?
just looking that up. I will see, and if there is, I will be sure that that's done.
So this case is going to be dismissed. She's going to be released, but she's going to be subject to a designated crisis responder review to determine whether or not she's a danger to herself or others. And I have no idea what that's going to say. The no contact order is going to be rescinded. I know Ms. Lane Vasquez, you wrote a fairly comprehensive letter about what you think should happen. You know, the things that you're requesting aren't the purview of this court. You know, guardianship, vulnerable adult, and all that sort of stuff. All that has to be handled in Superior Court. There's nothing I can do about that. And so, given what's been done in this case, this is pretty much all I can do. I did promise I was here from Ms. Rowe. Ms. Rowe, do you have anything to add at this time?
I do not, Your Honor.
Okay. So you're going to get released here sometime later today. And, you know, I hope everybody's able to take a step back and figure out what's best for everybody. Ms. Lane Vasquez, you wanted to say something?
I do. So it's like just a matter of knowing the situation. The situation is that she's been found to not be held responsible for a violent act. That she cannot be responsible for the act that she committed. So that being said, that
hang on just a second. I'm not again. That's a little bit different. Actually, the actual finding is she's not competent to stand trial. That's different from like being found not guilty by reason of insanity or not responsible. That's a different thing.
I understand. That is what I wanted my words to say. That being said, we know that there is that it's a sensitive situation and that she is going to return to a home that she owns with Kevin. There is a case that is still currently open where Kevin was the person that was that was hurting her, and she's the victim, and it is still open. I confirmed that with the prosecutor's office, that he violated a restraining order when that was put in place. Something that I feel like I need to really express to you is that I understand that this needs to be held in Superior Court, but the best I can do with the knowledge that I have and the energy that I have was reading the RCW codes and trying to understand them. And I understand that a criminal judge can appoint an emergency guardianship when there is an emergency. And this feels like an emergency.
Ma'am, I'm going to stop you. I can't. In district court, I can't. A Superior Court judge can, but I cannot.
Okay. I want my mom to be safe. I don't know any. Thank you for hearing me.
You're welcome, and I can feel your frustration, but you know, there are limitations on my position, and I can't do that.
So we know that she cannot stand to be held for trial. That her competency is in question, and she's let to be released to a home where there's still a domestic violence case open.
Okay, so I'm going to stop you there too for a second. My understanding is that, and I'm just looking that's on what's in front of me here, those cases have been dismissed also. And it looks like one of them was found because it looks like there was a concern with regarding to Mr. Aloha's competence to stand trial. And so it doesn't look to me, you know, that based on what's in front of me, that those cases are still open. You know, they could be refiled if competency is restored or regained, but that's, you know, this, I'm really limited on what I can do here. I hope you understand that.
I do, sir. And both of these people have been found to not be competent to be held accountable to, or to be held for trial. Both of these people. And both of these people go back and forth abusing each other. And both of these people are mentally disabled. There's records of it in the jail, in the hospital. Like,
yeah, I can say, and ma'am, and I don't, you know, I hear what you're saying, but you know, the involuntary commitment or, you know, designated response, crisis responder for some sort of commitment, that's not something that's handled by me. And those are all Superior Court hearings and proceedings and all that sort of stuff. And so she's going to get reviewed by a designated crisis responder here this afternoon, and then they'll make a determination as to where she goes from here, whether or not she goes to a different, like say, she gets committed or involuntarily committed or something like that. The only thing I can do in this court, and that's because it was chosen to be filed here, which it can be, is if there's a finding of competence and not competence, and the state's asking to dismiss it, which they are, then there's not much. My only recourse is to, you know, enter a dismissal, and then have her reviewed by as a designated crisis responder, and then that kicks in a different system, which we can have a great deal of discussion as to how successful that system is. But that's where I'm at. That's my position. That's all I can do from here.
well, and sir, my only position is to report it to the authorities that have the power to do it. You sat in a seat that holds power. So I've reported it to APS. I've reported it to the crisis people. But I have reported it to every agency I can. I understand. I do. Thank you for hearing me.
Okay. Good luck, ma'am. I do understand. I do hear you. And I understand your frustration and pain, but and again, from where I sit in this court, I really can't do that. That has to be done in Superior Court.
I understand.
And that'll conclude the hearing here for today.
But I can't go home today. Can you tell them to come and pick me up so I have a way home? Because I don't even know where I am.
Okay, so ma'am, Ms. Moore, you need to mute up.
Judge, did you hear that? Judge.
I did. I mean, I did.
Come on. Then I'm appealing to you. I'm appealing to you. Please file your own Adult Protective Service with your own eyes. What you see right there.
Ma'am,
file everybody in the court or on YouTube that sees it. File a complaint. with Washington Adult Protective Services. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous.
Okay, ma'am,
She's
I'm sorry. I'm
alive.
not, I just can't.
Your Honor,
I've done what I can do, and she'll be reviewed by a DCR, and that's all I can do. And Mr. Langston, you can leave, and that'll be it here for today.
I can pick her up.
I'm not going to answer that. I'm not going to.
Thank you, Your Honor.